The quiet town of Arkham was the last place you'd expect a world-ending secret to unravel. But behind the locked door of a dimly lit study at Miskatonic University, Dr. Henry Armitage was about to stumble into a nightmare that would change everything. It started with a box, a dusty, unassuming crate delivered to the university's linguistics department. Inside was a collection of bizarre manuscripts and ancient books, all confiscated from the estate of Wilbur Whateley, a name that still sent shivers through the rural town of Dunwich. Whateley was a local legend, a boy who grew too fast, spoke in riddles, and died under mysterious circumstances. But his writings, they were something else entirely. The manuscripts were written in an alphabet no one could recognize. It looked like a twisted version of Arabic, but none of the university's experts, not even the cryptographers, could crack it. The symbols seemed to shift on the page, as if they were alive, resisting translation. The only thing clear was that Whateley had been obsessed with the occult. His notes referenced forbidden texts, ancient rituals, and something he called the Elder Things. Dr. Armitage, a seasoned linguist and occult scholar, took charge of the project. He was no stranger to the strange. His office was a labyrinth of bookshelves crammed with esoteric tomes and crumbling scrolls. But even he was unnerved by the Whateley manuscript. The more he studied it, the more he felt like he was being watched. The symbols seemed to whisper to him, urging him to keep going, to uncover the truth. For weeks, Armitage worked tirelessly, cross-referencing every cipher and code he could think of. He barely slept, surviving on coffee and sheer determination. Then one night it happened. The code broke. The symbols resolved into English, and Armitage found himself staring at the ramblings of a madman or a prophet. The first entry he translated was dated November 26, 1916. It was written by a child, a 3-year-old who wrote like a scholar. The words were chilling. The stars are almost right. The gate will open soon. Father says we must prepare. The key is almost ready. The other is growing stronger. When the time comes, they will return, and the world will burn. Armitage's hands trembled as he turned the pages. The entries grew darker, more frantic. Whateley wrote about rituals, sacrifices, and a gate that needed to be opened. He mentioned a brother, a twin, who was not like the others. And then there were the warnings. If the gate opens, they will come. They will strip the world bare. They will take it back to the void. By the time Armitage finished translating, he was drenched in sweat. He had uncovered a plot to unleash something unimaginable, a force from beyond our reality, something that didn't belong in this world. And according to Whateley's notes, the gate was already open. The countdown had begun. Armitage knew he had to act fast. He called his colleagues, Dr. Rice and Dr. Morgan, and shared what he'd found. At first, they were skeptical, but when Armitage showed them the translated passages, their skepticism turned to dread. Together, they pored over the manuscript, cross-referencing it with other occult texts. The more they read, the more they realized the truth. Wilbur Whateley hadn't been a madman. He'd been a harbinger. The trio worked through the night, frantically searching for a way to stop what was coming. Armitage mixed chemicals in the lab, following a formula he'd found in the manuscript. Rice and Morgan scoured ancient texts for clues. But time was running out. The stars were aligning, and the gate was growing stronger. Then, on Wednesday morning, Armitage saw the headline in the Arkham Advertiser. A farmer claimed to have seen a monster in the woods near the Whateley farm. The locals laughed it off, blaming bootleg whiskey. But Armitage knew better. He'd read the manuscript. He knew what was coming. He called Rice and Morgan, his voice shaking. It started. We have to go to Dunwich. Now. As they packed their bags and gathered their supplies, Armitage couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too late. The gate was open. The other was free. And if they didn't stop it, the world would burn. But as they drove toward Dunwich, Armitage couldn't help but wonder, what if they weren't meant to stop it? What if this was all part of the plan? The road ahead was dark, the trees closing in like a cage. Somewhere in the distance, a low, guttural growl echoed through the hills. Armitage gripped the wheel tighter, his knuckles white. "We're not ready for this," he muttered. But it didn't matter. Ready or not, the end was coming.